A young boy named Finn lived in a small village nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river. It was a peaceful place where the biggest worry was usually the annual pie contest at the summer solstice festival. But Finn had a secret that added a touch of magic to his everyday life. He had a pet dragon. Now, dragons weren't exactly commonplace in this part of the world. But Finn's scaly little friend was untenny bigger than a cat and looked more like a cross between a lizard and a kitten. In fact, he meowed like a cat and purred when he was happy. The dragon's name was Ember, and he'd become part of Finn's family ever since he was a tiny hatchling. One evening, as Finn and Ember were playing hide-and-seek in the attic of their home, something strange happened. As Ember darted behind an old trunk, he let out a distressed meow. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a shadowy figure began to take shape around the trunk. Before Finn could react, the creature lunged. With a speed that belied its grotesque bulk, it knocked the trunk over, revealing a smaller version of itself cowering beneath it. "What's happening?" Finn whispered, his eyes wide with alarm. The creature snarled, baring rows of sharp teeth. "This one belongs to us now," it rasped, its voice like nails on a chalkboard. "Another shadowling for the queen." The smaller creature whimpered, but the larger one silenced it with a hiss. "Enough of this," it snapped. "We must return to the others. We have a feast to prepare." And with that, it scooped up the whimpering creature and disappeared into the darkness. Fear gnawed at Finn, but curiosity soon took over. What were those creatures? Why did they want Ember? And most importantly, why did they call him one of them? Determined to find answers, Finn confided in his older sister. Maya, she listened patiently to his tale, and when he mentioned the word shadow, a realization dawned on her face. "Creatures of shadow," she murmured. "I heard tales of them when I was young, but dismissed them as mere stories." She explained that these shadowlings drained the life force from their victims, leaving behind empty husks. "They prey on those touched by darkness," she said, her gaze fixed on the floor. "And it seems your dragon heritage has made you a target." As if summoned by her words, a chilling cackle echoed through the attic. From the corner, the queen of the shadowlings emerged, her eyes burning with malice. "You cannot hide," she hissed. "Give up your dragon, child. He is ours by right." Despite the fear that threatened to consume him, Finn stood firm. "No," he declared, surprising even himself. "He's my friend, and I won't let you hurt him." The queen's lips curled into a cruel smile. Brave words, but futile. "No human has ever defied us and lived." She raised a hand, tendrils of darkness reaching for Finn. But before they could touch him, Ember leaped in front of him, letting out a fierce roar. With a flick of her wrist, the queen sent shadows lashing out at the dragon. They hit their mark, causing Ember to cry out in pain. As the shadows receded, they revealed a weakened version of the dragon, one that seemed almost translucent in their absence. The queen cackled triumphantly. "See, child, your dragon is ours." But Finn refused to give up. He remembered the stories Maya had told him about the Shadowlands, a realm where darkness reigned supreme. He knew that to save Ember, he would have to venture there. "I'll make a deal with you," he offered, stepping forward. "Let Ember go, and I'll come with you willingly." The queen paused, her eyes narrowing. This was an unexpected twist. Normally, she delighted in the fear that paralyzed her victims. But there was something intriguing about this child's bravery. "Very well," she finally agreed. "But be warned, once you enter the Shadowlands, there is no turning back." Handing Ember over to her minions, Finn followed the queen, determined to rescue his friend. As they crossed the threshold into the Shadowlands, a sense of dread washed over him. The world around him seemed to darken, twisting familiar landscapes into menacing forms. Finn pushed on, his heart pounding in his chest. Suddenly, the trees parted, revealing a clearing bathed in an eerie green light. And there in the center stood the queen, her form shimmering like a mirage. "Here it is," she said, gesturing to a swirling vortex of shadows. "The source of our power. Touch it, and you will become one of us." From within the vortex, tormented cries echoed, and Finn felt a pang of sympathy for whoever or whatever was trapped there. Then he saw Ember. His eyes filled with anguish as he struggled against unseen bonds. Without hesitation, Finn plunged into the vortex, determined to free his friend. As he fell, he reached out, his fingers brushing against embers. Before he was enveloped by darkness. When Finn regained his senses, he found himself in a cavern illuminated by an ethereal glow. In the center stood the Queen, her expression smug. "Welcome to the Shadowlands, child," she said, her voice echoing ominously. "Here, you will learn the true meaning of fear." But Finn noticed something strange. The Queen's form flickered, as if she were having trouble maintaining her physical presence in this realm. "What's happening to you?" he asked, his voice echoing in the vast cavern. The Queen snarled, her eyes blazing with anger. "This place is unraveling," she hissed. "My powers are waning." She turned to flee, but Finn was faster. With a surge of adrenaline, he lunged, raking his claws across her arm. She screeched, the sound piercing the cavern's stillness. "Foolish child," she spat. "You cannot hope to defeat me." But Finn wasn't listening. He felt a surge of power coursing through him, guiding his every move. With newfound strength, he dodged her attacks, his own strikes becoming more precise, more devastating. As the battle raged, Finn realized he was tapping into the very essence of the Shadowlands, using its own energy against its mistress. The Queen, sensing her imminent defeat, lashed out with a final burst of power. "You may have won this battle," she snarled, "but you cannot stop us. The shadows will consume you, just as they consumed your dragon." With that, she vanished, leaving behind a whisper of fear and a prophecy that chilled Finn to the bone. But before despair could take hold, a familiar voice echoed in his mind. It was Ember. Though separated, their minds were linked by an invisible bond. And Ember was guiding him, showing him the way out of the Shadowlands. Following Ember's mental map, Finn navigated the twisting tunnels, each step lighter than the last. The Queen's parting words echoed in his ears, fueling his determination to prove her wrong. He wouldn't let the shadows consume him, not while he had Ember by his side. Emerging from the vortex, Finn stumbled into the forest, the sunlight warm on his skin. He was back in the familiar woods near his home. Relief washed over him as he spotted Ember waiting for him, nuzzling against his leg. The dragon's fur was ruffled, but his eyes shone with pride. In that moment, Finn knew the Queen's prophecy would not come true. Their bond had been forged in the fires of the Shadowlands, and together they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. News of the Shadowlings' attack spread like wildfire, uniting the nearby villages. Finn, with Ember at his side, found himself leading the charge against the creatures of darkness. Their combined strength proved too much for the Shadowlings, who fled back to the safety of the Shadowlands. As peace returned to the land, Finn's legend grew. He became known as the Dragonheart, a symbol of courage and friendship. But for Finn, the greatest reward was the love and loyalty of a very special dragon, a bond that had endured the test of the Shadowlands and emerged even stronger.